Unlock your body's healing power with Dr. Howard Cohn. Discover the secrets to natural healing and vibrant health. Join us for an inspiring interview with Dr. Howard Cohn, founder of the Cohn Health Institute, as he shares his groundbreaking approach to wellness. Learn how your body is designed to heal itself and how you can harness its innate intelligence to achieve optimal well being. Dr. Cohn's holistic approach to health and wellness will empower you to make informed choices and uplevel your health. Welcome to the Wellness Driven Life Show, where you're about to go on a wellness driven ride. Let me share a little bit about the incredible guests that we have with us today. For over 30 years, Dr. Howard Cohn, founder of the Cohn Health Institute, has inspired patients to achieve their ultimate health through natural, holistic, alternative health care. He believes the body was designed to heal itself as long as it's given the right building blocks to do so and is allowed to function free of interference. I am so pleased to help welcome to our stage today, Dr. Cohn. Welcome to the Wellness Driven Life Show.
April, so great to see you. Thanks for having me. I've heard great things about your show. I've watched some episodes. Well done. Well done. So just looking forward to our conversation.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to have a great one because we're so in a line with wanting to better the world and knowing that the body truly can heal itself if done the right way, given the right tools, knowing all the things. And it starts with awareness, right? And so you bring that to the forefront for so many people, the way that you do it. But let's get started by sharing a little bit about yourself so the audience can get to know you more.
Well, sure. Where do you want to start? So I run a natural health care center called the Cohn Health Institute. We designed it to be what we call a one-stop doc. You know, people come here from all over the world with different health challenges, and our goal is to really show them how smart their body is. Like you said, how it's designed to heal itself, and if it's not, why not? It's always fixing itself. It's always self-correcting. It's always doing the things it needs to do. What we're looking at is that when it doesn't, why is it not? And this usually comes down to some kind of interference with your body's normal healing mechanisms, the physical part, a nutritional part, an emotional part. And we have ways to use different types of tests to figure out what it is, when, and what to do in what order. And so I didn't grow up with any of this. My mom was a nurse, and I thought that, you know, health came in a pill bottle that was in a cabinet in the bathroom. And whatever I was bitching about that day, there was a anti-bitch pill. You know, if I had a headache, it was an aspirin. If something, I cut something, I rubbed something on, you know. Yeah, it turns out that didn't heal anything. It cured it for the moment, maybe. Hopefully it didn't do more harm than it was supposed to be doing. And, you know, in health, there's only one way to coast in life, and that's down. And so, I mean, I was interested in health because of my mom, and I saw her heart space of wanting to help people, but I never really saw people getting helped. And then I interviewed some medical doctors. They were miserable. So I was confused because I thought you were supposed to help people. And I was fortunate enough to meet a chiropractor when I was 16 years old, ironically at a career day in a high school, which was so random. But, you know, I felt that person was there for me that day. And, you know, I felt like I answered a calling that day because I'd never seen anybody more excited about what they did in their life than this guy. I didn't even know what chiropractor was, but I decided that day I was going to do it, because it looked like everybody else as a teenager was just trading time for money, and they were just not really jacked, if you will, about what they were doing. You know, when I met this guy, he didn't just say he would, you know, do what he did if he didn't get paid. He said he would pay to do what he did for a living. I don't even know athletes that would do that. So, or rock stars. So I wanted to know what he knew. And, you know, he had this like big idea that the body heals. And there's nothing more important than having a body that works, and you don't ever appreciate it till it's gone. And the number one reason for personal bankruptcy in the world today is inability to pay healthcare costs, or more accurately, disease care costs. And it's really an education game. Doctor comes from the Latin word docere, which means to teach. Our goal is to teach you how to take care of yourself. So that's, there's a lot of middle points, and on the shoulders of giants in the middle of that journey to what we have today in this health institute. And I'm fortunate to do a lot in the nutrition world and travel around the world and be on stages in front of tens of thousands of people talking about specific nutrition things and other things like that, and then showing people different things emotionally that they can do that doesn't have to take months but can take minutes to really change your life.
Oh, okay. So that's a great question right there. We talked about that emotional facet. What do you feel is the most important aspect, if any, that relates to our overall well being?
uh Really, it's whatever that person needs at that moment is the only true answer that you can have, because the saying is, if you're not testing, you're guessing. And so there's another saying, which is, all you have is a hammer, every problem's a nail. So even in the natural healthcare world, if you go to a nutritionist, you're going to walk out with a supplement. If you go to the, or many, right? If you go to the physical therapist, chiropractor, you can get something adjusted or something moved around or stretched. If you go to the therapist, you're going to be talking about your issues or having some kind of process done to help you have some epiphany or catharsis, hopefully. But the thing is, we're all having all these things going on every single time. So the question is having a way to tell what's going on with somebody real time. So we use a lot of things born out of the applied kinesiology world, which is kinesiology study of muscles. Apply means you apply it to your body. We use your body like a computer, your muscles like a keyboard, and we get access information. It looks wild when you see it. You may or may not have different exposures to it. Your exposure could be amazing or it could be ridiculous, right? So my first one was ridiculous. I thought it was ridiculous. I grew up in New York. We're skeptical out of the womb. It's our opinion. So, when I saw somebody demo it, I thought, there's a way this works. And then I saw people standing in line to see people that did this, and they had waiting list practices. And, at the end of the day, results drive behavior. And if you're getting the results, people tell others. And if you're not, they also tell others, but they tell them something different.
Oh, well, that's definitely the truth, the results when people talk about that. So you mentioned being a skeptic at first. I mean, do you find yourself oftentimes being a skeptic with things, or have you seen enough at this point that you're open to anything?
Oh, I've seen enough to be open. People go, do you believe in this, or do you believe in that, or what do you think about this? And I say, I've seen so much that I'm aware enough to never discount anything at any time.
Mm,
We all have just levels of awareness. Now, that being said, there are things out there that are just not real. I mean, you think you see something and find out it's CGI and it's computer generated. You think you hear something and you find out that was AI generated and it wasn't even that person's voice. You think you can feel something, and you may not be feeling what you're feeling because of all these different things that are artificially done to the human body these days. So fortunately, the body does have this 0 point wisdom that it has, that it will always roll back to, even with all the different things that are being done to try and manipulate people, their body, their genetics, their microbiome, everything. There's an onslaught. There is a war against the body, if you will, from the air, from the water, from the food,
yes.
electromagnetically. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so you have brought on so many people, you know about all these things. Is there anything that really has stood out for you the most I'm sure many things, but could you list a few that you appreciate greatly?
Definitely many things. Probably the most life-changing, the most often for people, is on the emotional side of their health. Somebody could have a
Mm,
99% blocked artery for like years, and it's when they get emotionally stressed that creates an inflammatory response that gets rid of the 1%, and that's the last day they're on this earth. So at the end of the day, the emotions drive our behavior, and our patterns based on things, areas and times of our life that we've given our power up to mother, father, teacher, preacher, all the different people in our lives. And so many things that are happening in people's health are related to repressed emotional issues. And it's not new. We may be new to some people, but it's, from 5,000 years, close to 6,000 years in traditional Chinese medicine. They've shown and documented and correlated that every meridian or organ has different emotions related to it, like anger, frustration, aggression, resentment. You'll see these in your liver and gallbladder, and grief and sadness and yearning you'll see in your lung and colon, and low self-esteem and hopelessness see in your spleen and pancreas and stomach, and on and on and on. And so how emotions work is what you don't express, you'll repress until it expresses as disease or dysfunction. Like Woody Allen used to say, I never get angry, I just grow a tumor. If I don't get my shit out, it stays in, it comes out as something ugly, either a health problem or a behavior. And so so many times people come in and go, my knee hurts, and it has nothing to do with their knee at all. It has everything to do with their, let's say, their gallbladder, which is related to a muscle behind their knee called their popliteus muscle, which is weak only because they're holding on to some frustration that they won't let go of because they go to the same job, same relationship, have the same problem with the child or whatever it is. And, we can't change what's happening around us, but what we can change is how we hold it in our body, or if we hold it in our body at all. And for so many people, we're just reactionary beings like Pavlov's dog. You just get conditioned to do, act, or be, or think a certain way, and it becomes a pattern, and we don't even know anymore. Other people around us know, but we don't know. And it plays like a broken record, but there's ways to locate those, change them in a minute, and I've demoed it over 100,000 times. And I've done health classes every week for over 3 decades, where we show people real time, take them out of the group of the audience, and change a physiological thing about the human body by never touching the area that we're talking about, but just clearing something they're holding in their head, because your mind and body are one thing. It's not some new agey kind of statement. If you alter your body, it alters your mind. If you alter your mind, it alters your body.
Very powerful. Dr. Cohn, you mentioned that you've tested and seen this so many times. What have some of the responses been for you when you explain this to somebody? Is it really this profound aha moment for them where they have an understanding and a realization, because it makes sense that this has been building up emotionally within them and now creating this dis-ease?
Well, some do and some don't. However, what they do notice is the surprise of whatever was running the show for them changes. So, and in most times it's in an instant. So if someone's been limping because of a hip issue for 3 months, and they've said, according to them, done everything, which is never true. You never do everything. You just do a lot of things that didn't work or didn't get you the result. And then when you can show them that it has to do with some sadness over something that happened in their life that they won't let go of, and then you clear it out, which just really nothing more than having them hold a couple spots and tapping on a part of their spine related to it, and then they can get up and walk without pain. They may not have an understanding about that, but they know that it's different. And their mind is trying to catch up with their body. Their body realized it no longer needed to create a pain pattern anymore, so it let it go. So if someone says their hip hurts, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing in your hip that's hurting. Now you go, oh yes, look at the bone-on-bone X-ray. But it's the signal in your brain that tells you to hurt. Because there are people that have bone-on-bone hips that somehow don't have pain. I mean, they've done studies on people with low back pain, excruciating low back pain, and they take MRI studies on them. And then they take people that have textbook normal spines that don't have pain, or that don't have pain, or just, I don't know if they have textbook normal spines, but they take MRIs on them. They mix them up and they give them the best radiologists around, and the radiologists cannot tell who has pain and who doesn't, because they have some people with candle wax dripping arthritis in their hip or their low back, and they're not in pain. And you have other people look like textbook normal, which is perfect, like you would put it in your textbook, and they have bilateral sciatica. They're like, excruciating pain, just horrific, limping, but it looks perfect, because it's not always the physical that's causing the pain. If they're eating certain
Right.
food they're sensitive to, that'll do it. If they're thinking certain thoughts, that'll do it.
Mind is such a powerful thing. And we're going to move into our first commercial, but when we get back, let's talk about that more,
Okay.
where the power of the mind is pretty great. So stay tuned. Are you ready to take control of your ride to wellness? Rev up with Driven Living. Visit www.drivenliving.com and buckle up for a journey. Get exclusive access to our Wellness Driven Life Show guest portal, where you can dive deep into the minds of our esteemed guests. Sign up for our newsletter and get insider scoops on these distinguished personalities. It's like having a backstage pass to their life-changing wisdom. But that's not all. You'll also receive a free hug. You heard me right, a free hug. An enlightening ebook from the Driven Living team. Discover the science-backed benefits of hugging yourself. It's a fill-up for your wellness tank. Because at Driven Living, we believe in fueling your journey to wellness, both physically and psychologically. So what are you waiting for? Visit www.drivenliving.com today. Welcome back, everyone, here with the amazing Dr. Cohn. Now, you talked about how the power of the mind is so great that people can create their own realities inside and out, right? And how they may not have any issues, but they create that, right? And there's study after study that has been conducted about that, where people will even die because they believe that they're dying. And I mean, that's an extreme circumstance, but it happens so frequently. So let's talk a little bit about that. You also mentioned that when people understand something, it takes a while for that brain to catch up to the reality that is now here. So what are some tools, tips, and tricks that you would have for us about that, how to retrain the mind?
Well, awareness helps because we don't know what we don't know till we find out that we didn't know it. And sometimes it's just pointing it out to people. Like before we do something called NET, which stands for neuroemotional technique. When people describe it, they say it's like 6 months of therapy in a minute. It's nothing to do with therapy. It's really the physiological response of emotions. And, according to other people outside of the psychotherapeutic world, even back to the days of Ivan Pavlov, who was not a psychologist or a therapist, he was a physiologist from Russia, and he had developed a term called conditioned response, where he'll meet in front of a dog, and the dog would drool, and then because the dog was strapped down, he couldn't get it, so he was drooling, and then rang a bell at the same time and conditioned the dog to seeing the meat and hearing the bell at the same time, and eventually took the meat away and just rang the bell, and the dogs would continue to drool until they figured it out. And they go, "This is dumb. Why are we still drooling?" It's called extinction. It doesn't mean they died. It just meant, even with their small dog brain, they go, "This is dumb. We're not going to keep drooling." Just this old guy with a beard, and they stop. But human beings drool their whole life away, right? We have all these metaphors for the story of our life, the drama, like, you don't understand, or I'm a victim, or they pushed my bum, they did it to me, and it's never the problem, it's how we hold the problem. So we walk people through this awareness program. So there's 4 things that everybody needs to understand. Otherwise, we're never going to get from point A to point B. Number 1 is your body never lies, right? So I've seen this happen over 100,000 times. I've never seen one wrong. Your body has a computer memory of everything that happened to it. So whether your conscious mind is interpreting it properly. Number 2 is emotions have no logic. If emotions were logical, we would just figure out our stuff and no one would ever have a health problem. Number 3 is what we're dealing with is emotional reality. It's not always historical fact. It's our perception of what we thought happened when we were 2 or 5 or 12 or whatever. For example, let's say I hold up a quarter and I'm looking at heads and you're looking at tails. I ask you what you see, and you say you see an eagle or whatever's on the quarters these days, but it used to be an eagle. And I'm looking at some old dead. So arguably, are we both looking at a quarter? Yes. Do we see the same things? No. Do we describe the same? No. Would we argue to the death that we see old dead president versus an eagle. Yes, who's right? Both of us and neither of us. But then there's another person sitting on my right looking at both of us like we're idiots because they're looking at the side of the quarter. They don't see an eagle. They don't see a president. They see ridges on the side of the quarter. So who's right? Everyone and no one. So it forces you to have an empathetic view of the world and other people because there's no way you can see or know what anyone else is seeing or they're experiencing. And the more convinced we are about what we see, we may see what we see, but we're not seeing the whole picture. And the last thing is, the mind doesn't know the difference between something real or what's been suggested to it, which is something, April, you talked about earlier, because let's say I describe a lemon and I show you that lemon, I cut it in half and I show you the pulpy part of that lemon. I say, stick out your tongue, and you do it. I take that lemon and I rub it back and forth on your tongue, and then I take all the juice and squeeze it onto your tongue. And there's no juice left in the lemon because it's sitting on your tongue. If you keep listening to me, you'll have a tart taste in your mouth, but there's no lemon in the room, which is a physiological change to the human body.
Yeah. I love how you described it that way.
It's everybody, people create all kinds of things. Someone gets a diagnosis like they have 6 months to live. I don't know anybody that has an expiration date on their birth certificate. So I don't know where people have this crystal ball, but the majority of the people will die 6 months to the day when they're told that. There's a pre and post on functional MRI where someone gets that diagnosis of cancer and then it lights up inside their brain. This boom, it's just this burst. And then you clear out the emotional effect on it using this neuroemotional technique. They run the MRI again. They say the same thing, but it doesn't pop up because the affect has been removed, and that now can be measured in the brain. And so we always knew it was happening, but when science catches up, it's kind of cool to see. Yeah.
It's very, very cool to see. And I think that is primarily what you concentrate on bringing to the world, is being able to showcase that science-backed research and all of the products that can help us get there faster and back it up with that science. And I think it's such a cool time in history that we have this and we have access to this, and we continue to dive deeper and deeper till we have a better understanding of things. So let's share with the audience a little bit about some of the things that you do so they know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that you showcase this for the world. Let's talk about that.
So, when people come to, let's say, our clinic, we have different ways. There's the Cohn Health Institute. There's a virtual summit we run called the Biostacking Summit, where we showcase other doctors and physicians that do from medicine, from chiropractic, from dentistry, that do holistic things that a lot of people aren't doing, that have huge followings because they're biostacking, which means they take certain therapies that they've either developed or have learned and stack them on top of others where they create their own unique healing brand, if you will. And so we tell people they can get better whether they like it or not, which means that if we can't, one of our doctors can. And if one of our doctors can in our office, there are people sputtered around the globe that can. So we like to let people know who they are because everyone's so busy, everyone's in their own world, and you're not going to see it on TV, right? It's a whole different political landscape that controls your thoughts and what you have access to, which probably is not what we'll deep dive in on this podcast or on this show right now. However, that's a big deal. And then, a lot of times, people don't really know this kind of stuff that we're talking about exists, but they may have taken a nutritional supplement before. Maybe even their doctor who has 3 hours of education on nutrition told them to take vitamin D or an omega or a multivitamin or whatever. But in our clinic, we have 3,500 nutritional products from 300 companies from around the world. So, everybody's different. Everyone's a biochemical individual. And so you can meet people where they're at and show them that there are more things out there that can fill the gap between what they're getting in the diet and what they're supposed to be. Because, we're going to show somebody what's going on with them physically, neurologically, and get their body to function at a higher level. And then we're going to show them nutritionally what they're deficient in. and also more importantly, what they're toxic in that they need to clean out, whether it's toxic chemicals, or heavy metals, or infectious agents, or whatever, or if they have food allergens and resetting those and shifting those. And then emotionally, are they holding on to things that are corrupting how fast or how slow their body's getting done? So we used to do a class every week. Now thanks to social media, we've been able to get these kinds of words out in other forums. Probably going to do another class coming up sometime soon. I know people are looking forward to that. We've done thousands of them because they're quite experiential, where you can actually see real time what can happen with the human body, how it can change. So I best thing to do in the world is really find out what's really going on inside you, rather than just run a blood test or a saliva test. Some people, they come in, they go, I did get tested. I go, what you do? And they go, I had my labs done. It's like, your labs are like your Facebook picture. It's like you on your best day, right? It's like, I'm not going to tell you everything that's going on. We're not going to see you at the times when you're not taking pictures and putting up filters. We're not. It's just a moment in time. So you'll see things in saliva you won't see there. You'll see things in the urine you won't see there. You'll see things in your hair you won't see there, and you'll see things genetically you won't see in any of those other places.
Yeah, absolutely. It took so many years when I was a child, extensive blood work to find I have systemic lupus. And so I just understand that it takes so much more. And then when we start to go down into the genetic level, there's a lot of different answers. And you mentioned that everybody is so different and unique. And the power of our beliefs is so intense for all of us that because there's so many things out there in the world, all of the things we can try. Some people are really into rocks, or some people are really into, I don't know. There's just so much, right? And we could go on and on and on. But it really comes down to, I think, a lot of it is the belief system. But I would love to know,
Yeah.
Dr. Cohn, you have access and understanding of so many things out there. What do you do on a daily basis for maintaining your overall well-being?
Daily?
And
I do
you
a lot of things.
travel and
I do a
you're
lot of
up and
things,
down.
but not everything every day. Um, I mean, daily I take nutritional things. Daily I'll do things that I put on my body, like that, a topical glutathione. I'll take things orally. I eat a certain way most of the time, and when I eat things that I know I shouldn't, I do something about it. I will take something nutritionally to offset it, right? Used to be upset when people ate garbage food, and I realized we're all gonna eat garbage food at some time, or most everybody. So if you do the crime, you got to do the time. So you can't just think it's not going to affect you. So certain nutritional things I'll take at the end of the day, depending on what I did. So physically, let's say in a week, I'll get treated, or I'll get adjusted, or I'll have some body work done, or some cranial sacral therapy, or I'll be in a red light bed, or I'll use my brain tap from Dr. Porter, or I'll be in a flow pressa, which is a lymphatic pumping machine, or I'll be on this Therify that we have, which drives molecular hydrogen into you. I'll do see our naturopath to have some things done. I might do ozone. I might do an ozone sauna. I might be an infrared sauna. So I kind of cycle all these things, if you will. And then I got like 15 people that I see every week, a month, a quarter. Because listen, April, it takes a
Yeah.
village. It really does.
Yeah.
With the health challenges that you've had, that you just mentioned, there's not one magic bullet for anything, and there's only one way to coast in life, and that's down. You're either building your health every day, or you're losing it. So I don't believe people should just live to just get treated and do things, but I believe that we need to have a team of people in place to help keep us going. Otherwise, we'll be like everybody else, and more people spend more money in their last 2 weeks of life trying to stay alive than they will on their whole life on their.
Ah, and that's the truth. So I love your response because it's so genuine and so authentic, and you're correct. It takes a village. And you know what? All of these different things that you can do bi-weekly or whenever, it keeps it exciting and interesting, and it's not so mundane. so to speak. And so I really appreciate your response because there are so many incredible things. And, if you're by the ocean one day, then you get to go take ground in the salt water. And if you don't happen to be by the ocean and you're in Arizona the next, then you get to do something else and maybe take a moon bath. I don't know. But you get to alternate these wonderful things that we have access to within our community and from the earth itself. And so, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your insights with us today. And, you mentioned Dr. Patrick's headset, and I love that as well. I think that's an incredible meditation technique with the lights and the sounds and all of the ways that he has implemented those new sciences with us for us. So I'm excited to learn more of who so I can get to implement more in my life. And I invite everyone to check out your website to see exactly what you're doing because you do have so many incredible connections. We've had it on the site here for those of you viewing with your eyes, cohnhealthinstitute.com, and also those with listening ears, that's what it is, cohnhealthinstitute.com. It is in the description below, so be sure to see that. It's been incredible to have you on the Wellness Driven Life Show. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience today?
Well, only that there are no incurable diseases, only incurable people. If you want to get better or move on in your health, you can. And don't ever give up. If you feel like you've done everything, trust me, if you did everything, you'd be better. You've done a lot of things. So it's always something out there. We're here to help. You're here to help. I mean, listen, driven living, that's what it's about. I mean, you are definitely driven and you're showing people that they can live better lives. So thanks for having me on your show.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for our audience for tuning in, because without you, the show wouldn't be possible. So thank you so much. Goodbye for now, and we will see you next time.